Yes. Ella, you got to go back up with that slate. Look at this thing. Our branding.
Oh, good job,
I mean,
babe.
this is the Halloween special.
Yeah.
Listen to the new music.
I know, you're very excited.
I'm very fired up for this.
Yeah, nice.
It's very exciting.
Good job, babe.
Okay, so here's the thing and what we're going to do. We've never done this before. We don't really do special episodes that often, but we may start doing more of them. We'll see what happens. But what we want to do is tell you two stories that have kind of been huge stories in our family. So one has to do with one of the most haunted places in the country, the Stanley Hotel. And we had an inexplicable event there that we will talk about. This is the 10-year anniversary. Okay. And then, not that we celebrate that anniversary. We really
No,
don't.
we really don't.
We really don't.
Well, we just found out that it was 10 years when we looked at photos. But yes, go ahead.
And so this will be, it's a relatively quick story. We'll get through that. And then one that happened to you in college, which is a little more involved. It is fascinating. It's fascinating. It's edge of your seat stuff, I think. I haven't heard the whole story from you altogether in a long time, if at all, the whole thing.
I know. I hope I could. I took notes, so I hope I can remember and retell it well.
Yes.
But yeah, it was definitely a life-changing story for me. That happened
there
in
is
college.
no doubt. And actually, it affected us later in our lives when we ended up in the same television market together. But we'll get to all of that. So we I know you mentioned you wanted to do movies and stuff and all this.
I wanted to talk newsy a little bit. I was like, let's do some little news things that have to do with Halloween.
Right.
You know, like I had just read that, horror movies are still the one genre that get people into the theater.
Right.
And because people like to be scared together.
Yep.
And you're like, no, we're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that. We're just telling these two stories.
Okay, just these stories. But at least let's tell some people out there maybe our favorite Halloween movie.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have two.
Okay.
Okay. One's a classic that everybody knows called Halloween, the original Halloween, right? With Jamie Lee Curtis. I think they made that movie for like $1 million.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yep.
I think that one still holds up over time.
I agree.
But now I have one that's like really out there. And I don't know if you can still find it. I haven't watched it in years. It's called The Changeling, and it's with George C. Scott. It was made in the 70s.
Yeah, there's an Angelina Jolie movie called The Changeling.
Yeah, not to be confused with that one.
Okay, got it.
So it's the George C. Scott, The Changeling, old wheelchair, creepy old guy, little tiny boy who dies. It is. I saw it in like 6th grade at a sleepover.
Okay.
Scared the daylights out of me.
Okay.
Much more of a deeper storyline. It's not a slasher.
Got it.
It's more of a storyline.
Got it. Okay.
So, tell Ella, you dive in. What's your favorite?
We got else.
Okay. So my favorite horror Halloween movie is definitely Scream. The original.
The original,
the first one.
That was so
with
well
Nev
done.
Campbell, right?
Yeah.
Me and Dad tried to go watch the newer ones in the theater. They were pretty bad. They have no plot.
Yeah. They're lame.
But the original Scream is pretty good, and I actually do really like it. I don't know if that's supposed to be a Halloween movie.
Yeah, I think.
But it's a scary movie.
Yeah.
I also like it, and they came out with a TV show of it 2 days ago.
Yeah,
And
I
haven't
can't
seen
handle
it.
those.
Okay.
I love it. I think it's good.
Can't do it anymore. I check out on scary movies now.
Yeah.
But those two
Okay.
are my favorite. Dad?
Yeah.
You have a favorite?
Well, I grew up watching because I had older brothers, so we'd watch all the Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah. Classics.
You'd watch all the Halloweens. Those were all excellent. Children of the Corn is a pretty scary movie.
Malachi.
Oh Lord!
Very
and when
scary guy.
when the demon ends up underneath the dirt and it just kind of rolls, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah. It's
So
terrifying.
there's some of that stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. I always loved horror movies as a kid. We don't watch them as much now unless Ella wants to go see something.
Yeah. The second I had kids, I was like, and I'm done.
Yeah, and I'm done with the horror movies.
I am done with it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I worry now so much about my kids, anything happening to them.
Yeah.
It kind of took the joy out of like being scared.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I naturally just live now with a certain level of fear, I think.
Just in general, just
but
baked
I'd rather
in.
just like have a rom-com or a comedy
Right,
now.
right.
So anyway, okay, well let's jump in and tell this first story.
Here we go. Yeah. All right, so I'll tackle this first one.
Yeah.
So we go back to September of 2015. What we used to always do with the girls is we take them out of school for a week, usually right around the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th week in September. And we would go up to Colorado, where we had a place in Breckenridge, where we'd go up there for 3 or 4 days. And then we'd go make a few other stops along the way. And in 2015, we made 3 stops that year. One of them was Grand Lake, which is beautiful. This is you and I at Grand Lake that year. If you guys have not been to Grand Lake, this is Grand Lake Lodge.
Yeah, we love it.
It's beautiful.
Oh,
it
it's
really
great.
is. It's a great place to go. It's a beautiful lake. It's incredible. The girls, we spent 4 days in Breckenridge, which they grew up in going to Breckenridge all the time. This is the woods right near where the house is.
Look how
and
cute you guys
look how cute they are. They are
So
little
cute.
nuggets right here.
Yeah, so
These
cute.
two. So we had a great trip, as I remember. It was
Yeah,
it
we
was
were checking out the fall leaves leaves. It was beautiful.
That's why you go there
Yeah.
at that time, because the fall leaves are peaking right around the second, third week in September. This happened to be the fourth week. We were a little later this year, but it was still incredible. So we wrapped that trip on our way back down. Instead of just going from Breckenridge all the way back down to Albuquerque, we hooked over and we went to the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah, we went through Rocky Mountain National Park and then ended up at the Stanley.
Which is, for those of you who haven't been to the Stanley, it's a cool hotel. It
I wanted
really
us
is
to
amazing.
get married there, remember?
Yeah, and I can see why. It's got some
I
great
love it.
stuff. Now, at this point, back in 2015, the Stanley was doing something sort of interesting where they had really jumped onto the haunting thing.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, the Stanley is where Stephen King went when he wrote The Shining. So he stayed in a room at the Stanley and was inspired to write The Shining, which is, of course, the Jack Nicholson movie where he goes up to the
Overlook Hotel.
The Overlook Hotel.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Colorado, I think.
It's supposed
right?
to be in Colorado, I think, and he's supposed to be like the gatekeeper. Or
He's got to stay there over the winter. He's got to stay there over the
Yeah.
winter, and he goes crazy. And he tries to kill his wife and goes after his kids and everything else, right? And so what's interesting is they actually shot it. They didn't shoot it at the Stanley. They shot it at the Timberline Hotel in Oregon at the base of Mount Hood. Okay, so that's where it's actually shot, or at least the exteriors were actually shot in Oregon. So it was not shot in Colorado.
Dumb and Dumber were filmed at the Stanley, though.
Dumb and Dumber was filmed at the Stanley,
it
where
is
Lloyd
the Dan
Christmas
Dory.
is handing out cash at the front of the Stanley
In
Hotel.
the bar, they
That's true.
filmed the bar scene there and things like that. Anyway.
But anybody who watched the Shining remembers that there is
maze.
There's a maze in the front of the hotel, okay? Well, that's in Oregon, okay? Or was in Oregon or whatever. They probably shot it in Hollywood. And so they never had that maze in Colorado,
right?
Okay, in front of the hotel. But you can see here, they made one.
Yeah, they
right?
did.
So around 2015, they were trying to do this. Now, by the way, for those of you who are kind of curious or those of you who've been there since, this did not work out.
No.
These trees didn't grow very well, but you can see me with both Ava and Ella. I think Ella's closest to me here. And then Ava's right ahead of her. We walked around. They tried to make it this little maze. They were doing all sorts of stuff because they were trying to boost the amount of people that went through the hotel. I don't think it was going.
Yeah, they had ghost tours. They did a lot of
Yeah.
events at night. You could go and hear ghost stories and experiences that people had in this hotel, which it was very famous for actual real haunting things that had happened. And so I grew up loving this hotel. I spent my 21st birthday there, my 18th birthday there. I mean, it was a special place for our family. We'd go for like special events type of things. So
yeah. And so, we run it around. And by the way, here's a little thing. Again, them trying to capitalize on The Shining. These are the Grady daughters,
right?
Who were part of The Shining and
those are our
Red Room
daughters,
and the whole situation.
sticking their face through the little cutouts.
There's a little scrap giving her her little thing on the right there. Very good, Ella.
Yeah, nice.
That's a good looking shot of you. No question about it. So we get into the hotel, and it was a fairly uneventful as we check in. We had a lot of bags because we'd been gone for over a week. We'd been all around Colorado. So we get in to our room and we dump everything in the room. And actually, here is, I believe, the room. So Ella, I think it's right after picture 8, it's picture 9. I'm pretty sure this is the room.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where the girls were staying.
Yeah.
Right there. And if you turn to the left there, that's where our bedroom was back in there. Okay, so this is on the 4th floor of the Stanley Hotel. The 4th floor of the Stanley Hotel is broadly, and this is the 4th floor you're looking at right here, is broadly believed to be the most haunted floor at the Stanley. This was the first time and the only time we've ever stayed on the 4th floor. Okay, and it's not like we were looking for the most haunted thing.
We weren't even. That wasn't even entering our mind.
No, not at all, not at all. And so we just happened to get this room. We didn't know the 4th floor was the most haunted. Nobody told us, right? But anyway, so we get there, we put everything in the room, and leave our bags there, and then we head down and we had dinner at the main restaurant.
And it's important to note that we took the elevator up to our room.
Yep.
We took the elevator back down to go to this restaurant, which is where they also filmed Dumb and Dumber, by the way.
Yeah.
In this little bar.
You take a look at it again. This is another.
This is the bar/restaurant in the lobby of the Stanley.
Yeah. And I don't have any real recollection of dinner. It seemed to be fine.
Yeah.
The food there's fairly good. Nice restaurant. And so we go to dinner, and then we go back to the room that night. And it was a fairly uneventful night as we got the girls ready to go to bed, as we usually do. And it was kind of, I don't know why. But
it was pretty empty, by the way. That was the other thing I remember is that the hotel did not have a lot of people there, which is why they put us on the 4th floor, by the way, if I recall. It's because it wasn't super crowded.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a high request floor. And we didn't request it, but they were like, oh, yeah, you're in luck. We're putting you in the 4th floor. We're like, okay.
Whatever.
So there just wasn't a lot of people there. There wasn't a lot of buzz going on. It wasn't crowded. We didn't have a bunch of people on our floor, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So we finish dinner and go back, get the girls ready. They go to bed. You and I hang out for a while, but then eventually fall asleep. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I hear thunderous steps down the hallway by our room. Like doom, 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 like running by our room. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, whoa. And that's something you hear a lot about at the Stanley. Mm-hmm. Never happened to me before. We'd probably stayed there half dozen times. Mm-hmm. And so I fly out of bed because the girls are in the other room. And I'm like, where are the girls? So they're in bed.
Right, because you kind of thought it might be the girls running down the hall.
I didn't know what I didn't know what the deal was. Yeah. So then they're there, and then I immediately open the door, look out in the hallway, and there's nothing there. Just dead silence. Mm-hmm. Nobody out in the hallway, nobody walking through, nothing. And this shot me out of bed. Yeah. It was not kind of one of those, did I hear something? I knew exactly what it was. And so I kind of said something to you. You're like, you okay? Or did you even hear it?
I didn't hear it.
Okay.
You did, but you were real. I just remember you being very worried.
Yeah.
Because you were like, it was really loud, and it's like it was really.
It was unmistakable.
Yeah, and then you were so scared that you thought it had to do with our girls.
Right.
That's what I remember.
Right.
And I was like, well, the girls are fine. Everybody's fine. Go back to sleep.
Yeah. And so I never get them up, and we get up the next morning, and we're leaving pretty early the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
So we get going. All our bags we didn't really unpack at all.
We were there for like less than 12 hours.
Yes,
really.
Yes. And so we get all our stuff. You, of course, pack massive bags, and you had the biggest bag in the family as usual. Everybody had their stuff. And then because we had these heavy bags, you can go down one of two ways. You can go down the stairs. We just didn't because we have all the heavy bags. We've been using the elevator. And so we all walk out of the room, and we walk over to the elevator, and I push the, elevator button all the way down to the lobby, or, push the down button. And the elevator comes up, and the elevator door opens.
And in the middle of the elevator floor are my flip-flops, which sounds really weird, but my flip-flops are super unusual. And we made this picture, or Mark made this picture with AI to kind of give you a visual.
Exactly what it looked like.
But that's what it looked like. And I brought the flip-flops because my family makes fun of these flip-flops. So I brought them to show you guys. Yeah. But they're Title IX flip-flops from old time, and they block your toe. Right, because I have problems with my big toe. My toenail has been broken, so I protect my big toe. So they're really ugly, right? People think these are ugly. I love them. I wear them like house slippers, right. And the reason that this was so odd was because I didn't unpack them at the Stanley. They were in the bottom of my bag, and I never brought them out at all. And so we're leaving. The elevator opens up, and there are my two, very clearly they're mine, my flip flops in the middle of this elevator. And I look at Mark and I'm like, very funny. And you're like, what? And I'm like, did you put those there? And you're like, I had nothing to do with this. No. So, I asked the girls. The girls are clueless. They had no idea. They had no idea. They were too little. And so I was like, this is so weird. So I remember going down to the front lobby and we checked out and I said, hey, I know it's going to sound weird, but number one, did you have like a group of people upstairs running around in the middle of the night? Did you hear of any activity? She goes, oh, did you hear children running? And we said something like that. It sounded like running down the hall. And she goes, we do get a lot of occurrences with that. And we believe that is the ghost that's on the 4th floor. And we're like, okay. And then I said, here's another one for you. And I told her about I had them in my hand. I'm like, my flip-flops. And I'm trying to explain this because it's so weird. Yeah. And she's like, yeah. And I said, was anybody in our room last night? Would there be any chance that somebody got in our room? And she said, no, nobody was in your room. And I said, okay. And I felt kind of like I was losing my mind. But she said, weird things happen. People's items will show up throughout the hotel. And I just thought, okay, it didn't fall out of my bag. We were in the elevator going up to the room, down for dinner, and back up, and nothing was in that elevator until the next morning. And then these shoes that were in the very bottom of my bag that are very distinctly not like anybody else's,
Right.
are in the middle of this elevator.
And if they had been, whatever, she had forgotten them there or whatever, there's no way they'd have been there if they fell out of her bag, which they didn't because they couldn't have.
Right.
They wouldn't have sat there for a day going up and down. We had been in that elevator multiple times. This is completely unexplainable. And I'm not Mr. Ghost Guy.
Yeah,
I'm really not. But there is no way to explain what happened here unless somebody from the hotel goes in, takes your flip-flops, right, while we're out at dinner. Right? That's the only thing we could come up with. That we're out at dinner, they take your flip-flops, and then they know that basically we're checking out in the morning. They stick the flip-flops in there and hope that someone else doesn't grab them and return them to the front of the hotel. None of it makes any sense.
Yeah, none of it makes any sense.
And you take a huge chance at a hotel if you go and do something like that and you go grab somebody's stuff. I mean, especially in this day and age where you could easily stick a camera in that hotel room and watch them come in and do it. Yeah. And if you do, you're busted.
Plus,
right?
It would just be like, I would think if somebody was really going to come and try to take something of mine to scare us or something, they wouldn't dig through the bottom of my bag for random house flip-flops, basically. I mean, they were buried in the bottom of this massive bag. So I don't think I have no explanation for it.
Yep.
It was one of those weird things that we've never been able to explain. But anyway, that's our little Stanley story. So.
Okay, that is it.
Okay.
So that's the quick one. All right. So here we go.
All right.
Here we go. So we want to start here. So this story goes back to 1992. Mm-hmm. You are starting your sophomore year at Colorado State University. Mm-hmm. Your freshman year you spent in the dorms, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So your sophomore year, you were going to move in with friends?
So Lynette, my friend from high school, I bumped into her in the summer, and this is Lynette and I, and she had said she knew I needed a roommate because my dorm mate, my friend, wasn't going to continue at CSU at the time, so I needed a place to go. And she said, "Hey, we have a roommate moving out of our bedroom, out of our house. Would you like to move in? We're renting this house, and it's pretty affordable, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great plan." So I agreed, and I basically the end of that summer, I was moving in, and I was the first one to move back in because Lynette was up in Wyoming. That's where her parents lived.
Okay.
So I move in.
So it was August, roughly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like late August.
Okay.
I move in and I asked permission to paint my room. And so I was there with a different friend, and we're there pretty late, but I'll show you the house, the way the house looked.
Yeah. So this is something we grabbed off of Zillow, but this is the house.
It is the house. Now, I did have grass, and it did have lots of overgrown trees at the time. But this
looks like a place, a flop house for chicks.
It was a great house. It was a great rental house.
Yeah.
And it wasn't far from campus. It was great.
Okay.
And so I moved in, and I was painting my room, and it was late at night. It was like 10 or 10:30.
And this is your room?
This was my room. Yeah, it did not look like that at the time. But yes, I was painting it. Yeah. And the phone rang, and it was pretty late. And, this is 1992, so there was no cell phone.
Yeah, home phone.
It was
the home phone matters.
And there was one phone in this whole house, right? We had one phone.
Yeah.
And so I go out to answer it, and I pick it up, and this guy says, "Hey, so are you the new roommate?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Krysty. Who are you?" Da da da. And instead of answering me, he's like, "Oh, are you friends with Lynette then?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm really good friends with Lynette. What's going on?" Da da da. Because I just assume, okay, I'm going to meet this person,
right?
And he's like, "So I have a question for you." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "What size bra do you wear?"
Whoa.
And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, what size bra are you?" And I was like, "Okay, bye-bye." So I hang up the phone. And I don't really think much of it at this point. I'm like, okay, whatever, crank call, whatever. Like, who knows, whatever. So I kind of go on with my business. So maybe fast forward like a week or so, and we all...
Hold on. It would appear to me that if I had gotten that call and I'm you, and they know Lynette's name, and they ask you that question, it never occurs to you right then, like, what's going on here?
No, because not at the time, because number one, I hadn't moved in yet. I was just painting the room. I was there to paint the room, and I was like staying at my mom's place.
There. Okay.
No, I had crashed back at my mom's for the summer.
Okay, so no alarms go off at this point. Even though they asked.
I just figured it was some like foolish guy that knew Lynette and was playing a prank on me and trying to be funny. Right. I didn't overthink it. I wasn't like, oh, this is so scary.
Makes sense.
None of that. So I go back to my mom's for, like that week or whatever. And then we all move in at the same time.
Okay.
So Lynette comes back. And there was a third roommate that was there with us for a little while, for part of that year. And then she ended up moving out. But so we all get back together. And the whole plan is, hey, we're going to have friends over and we're going to watch a scary movie. Okay. So this is like right as school is kicking off.
Right.
And we had a really teeny, you would have been so disappointed. We had a really teeny, like our television was literally this
Not
big.
okay.
It was literally as big as my face. It was so tiny.
That's not great.
So we're all crowded around this little television where I don't remember what movie we're watching, something scary. And I'm like, ooh, I'm getting kind of chilly. So I'm going to run to my room really fast to change. So I run back to my bedroom, which is what Ella had shown.
Yeah, the bedroom.
And at the time, there were blinds on this window, and I had them closed. They were like those Venetian blinds, those little cheap metal things.
Yeah.
And as I'm changing, I can hear scraping noises outside on that window. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. But I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's windy. So and we're watching a scary movie. This is all must be in my head. So I come back and I sit down on the couch with everybody. I'm like, oh, I just heard like some scraping noises outside my window. It's pretty scary. Well, Lynette and the other roommate pause the movie and they look at me and they look at each other and they're like, there was scraping outside. And I was like, well, I mean, I thought I heard something outside my bedroom window, but I don't know. It's probably just the wind. Well, we have a whole group of friends there with us, like guys, girls. There's a whole mix of people there. And these two, Lynette and the other girl, get up right away and they're like, let's go look. And I was like, you guys, this is nothing. So we all go out, like single file, go out through the kitchen, through the garage, and out the backyard. And we walk over, and this is the backyard. And so, like, this is still the tree that was there.
Yeah.
And that's actually, I know it's hard to tell, but it's aiming us towards the
house is actually on the left side of the screen here.
Yes.
So someone could, if they were looking here, they could hide behind that tree and look right into where you guys are.
Correct.
On the left side there.
Well, it's even scarier than that. So if you kind of look in on, I don't know if you can zoom in on that picture or not, but there's a patio. You can kind of see we had a little back patio right there.
Oh, right there. Yeah.
We had a little patio.
Okay.
And we had a ton of patio furniture.
Sure.
Okay. So we come out that back door right there and we walk over, and underneath my window, I'll never forget this. It was dark.
Yeah.
Underneath my window, the patio furniture had been moved over underneath my window, because if you notice in that bedroom shot, my window kind of sat up. It was a little higher for a ranch style house.
Yeah.
And I had Venetian blinds.
So someone, if they were going to look in, puts the chair on the outside of and that's where it's exactly where it's set up.
It's exactly where it's set up. It's right underneath my window.
Okay.
So we all kind of stared at each other and they're like, let's move this. So we all just move the patio furniture, not back to the patio, by the way. We move it back into the garage. And they look at me and they're like, it's time we need to tell her. And I was like, I was like, tell me what? So we go back in. And again, this is like my two roommates and all of our friends. And they said, so we had this situation last spring. So they had just like right before summer had hit, where they had some occurrences that had happened. And I said, okay, like tell me one thing that had happened. And they had said that the roommate that had my bedroom prior that I was replacing, she was changing one day. And on the closet doors, which I looked to see if the room had a closet door still on there, but they were mirrored, very 1990s, right?
Right.
And on these mirrored doors, you could see back in the back window.
Sure, you could see back through the window into the backyard.
Right. And she was changing, and she could see in her reflection, and the sun was going down, but she could see in her reflection that there was a guy standing in front of that tree. So go back to that the shot with the tree, Els. We'll get to that shot in a minute. But if you go back to the shot of the tree, okay, he was leaning up against the tree and he had a baseball hat on.
Right on the left side, inside of the tree.
Inside the tree. So in between the tree and the house.
Okay.
And just staring at her. Yeah. So she got so freaked out that she just hit the light off of her bedroom and hit the floor. And then crawled out apparently of my bedroom, which was her bedroom at the time, and kind of warned the other girls. Okay. So they tell me this, and they said, and we've had a couple of weird phone calls, but I don't think it's anything. We never figured out who it was, and this was several months ago. But I said, okay, well, let me tell you about the phone call I had on the day I was painting.
So this is when you told them.
Yeah, so I tell them this, and they're like, oh, no, this can't be starting all over again, right? So they because they had moved out over the summer, too.
So at this point, are you frustrated or mad at all at them? Like, what are you do? Like, no. You should have told me this.
No, I'm still not mad because I'm still excited. You have to keep in mind that, like, I had lived in a dorm. And then this was my first apartment, really. Okay. I just moved into a house. I was super excited. I had new roommates. Yeah, okay. College was starting. Sense. I loved college.
Yeah,
I was pretty fired up.
Tough to beat. Yeah.
I was really excited. So I was like, oh, whatever this is going to end up being some, buddy that liked the other girl that had moved out. That was kind of what I was thinking.
Right.
Is making sure that that guy probably liked her. And I don't know. So that was what I was thinking. Well, then strange things would just start happening.
Right.
Like we'd come home and the lights would be on in our house. Every time we kind of came home, there would be just the phone would ring. And so this and we'd pick it up and they would hang up.
So wait, you guys would consciously turn off lights.
Yes.
And then come back and they'd be on.
Correct. Because again,
so there's someone coming in.
Well, we don't know that, but it's just weird things are happening at the time that we're not really putting all the puzzle pieces together. Okay. It wasn't like we were like instantly like, oh, somebody's been in here. But it was like this reminder of weird things that would start to happen. Okay. Lights would be left on.
Yeah.
There was always the phone would always ring right as one of us walked in the door. Okay. So, and then you'd go and answer it. Inevitably, they would hang up on us. Okay. So that was like a timed thing. And then.
So wait a minute. If this person, because there are no cell phones.
No, there's no cell phones.
So this person knows the minute you get home.
Correct.
And he's calling you. So does that mean that he's living within eyeshot of you?
Well, again, we're not cluing into any of that. We just keep thinking at this point, these are some crank calls, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then some weird things start happening, like Lynette's dresser has been rifled through one day. And we don't know for sure if they took anything, but it was definitely her like personal, like her underwear.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Drawer had been rifled through and some stuff like that. And then lights were left on. So it was just kind of this weird, creepy feeling that you were like, was somebody here? Was somebody not here? And so I did little things. Like my mom got me this beeper, and it was like a beeper I could put on my nightstand, and you take the pen out of it, it screams. It's like a screaming beeper, right? So I had that. I had pepper spray on my keychain, and I kind of was like, okay, this is all I really need.
So this is a slow kind of march toward sort of almost a paranoia over time, because more and more things start to happen, right? I mean, is that fair? Like you don't get there in one day, right?
No.
It's little stuff.
So when we finally had the dresser gone through, we called the cops. Okay. And that was the first memory I have of us calling the cops.
Okay. How roughly when was this?
I'd probably been there a month by this point.
Okay, so it's progressing pretty quick.
So we have phone calls, we have lights left on, and we have a dresser drawer gone through. Okay. Cops come, we tell them all this. We're probably really excited, knowing us at the time. And I'm 19 years old, so we have a lot of energy. And I think they didn't take any, they were like, thank you so much, you're fine. Like basically like kind of blew us off. Thought that we were just being frivolous. Yeah. Just said, thanks for letting us know. Let us know if something else happens. And they left, okay? Yeah. That was kind of the end of that. So I was like, all right, whatever. I guess this is no big deal. Well, then I started to tell my brother about this stuff happening. And he was in college at the same time with me. So he came over one night with a buddy and sat in that backyard. Okay. And at night, and he had his shotgun. Okay. And he thought maybe this person is hiding out in your backyard. Yeah. Because he obviously, and so you can see how big our backyard was.
It's a huge backyard.
And if you think about at night, how like you couldn't see to the back fence. There was a back fence. I can't even tell if there's a back fence back there.
Now this is a perspective looking from the house straight out, and that's somebody else's house.
That is somebody else's house
in another road.
But there was a chain link fence right there. I can't tell if there still is or not, or if there's a fence there.
Some sort of fence.
And then there's a road there.
Right, you can see it.
There's a road.
You can see it.
So my brother came and camped out one night and thought, okay, this seems weird. And he didn't see anything, but he said, listen, I'm going to put motion lights up for you guys in the backyard.
Yeah, good call.
So he installs
Justin's
those.
a good brother.
Yeah, right, so he's a good brother. So he puts up motion lights for us. And then becomes the pattern, and this is what we did every single night. Okay, you come in the door, you walk, and I have a picture of the living room that shows you into the entrance of the kitchen. Els, if you want to show that one. So that's the front door on the right.
And the kitchen's
you
to
come
the
through
left
the living
there.
room, and that's the kitchen. Then you'd walk through. Yeah. Better floors than we ever had, by the way. But you go through that kitchen, and then if you look at the picture of the kitchen, that's the window of the kitchen, which had a very heinous 1970s blind on it at the time. Okay. But so our pattern was, and the phone was in the kitchen, the one phone with the answering machine. We had
there's a phone jack right there.
Yeah,
it looks
that's the old school phone.
Yeah.
We had a table that sat right there, and the phone was right there.
Right.
And the answering machine was there, and then the blind. So what we would do is the blind was shut all the time because we just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
right. So the pattern was this: you walked in the front door, you didn't turn on any lights, and you would walk through and go to that kitchen window. Yep. You would peek through. Walk through, and then you'd peek through the blind and see if you saw anybody out there, or to see if the motion lights had gone off. Okay. This was a occurrence that we did ever. It was like a habit. This is what you did. And literally within 1 to 2 minutes of us getting home, the phone would ring. And then it became that he would start talking to us.
Okay.
So there became a point where he stopped hanging up and he would start having conversations with us. By this point, he knew my name.
Okay.
By this point, he knew Lynette's
And
name.
he knew probably by your voice?
He'd be like, so is this Krysty or Lynette?
Okay,
that kind of stuff.
Okay, so
right?
so then you're knowing that he's not looking at you at that moment, being able to tell who you are.
Right. And here I am. I'm thinking I'm Little Miss Independent and I'm going to catch this guy, right? And I'm going to be smarter than this guy. So I'd be like, yeah, who are you and what do you want? And, are you getting your kicks by like calling us every day? Like, ooh, I hope you're having a good time. Like I was trying to be pretty like tough girl kind of. And he would never reveal any information back. But this became an ongoing pattern. So to the point where when you were coming in at night, you were so terrified looking through that blind, you did not want the motion lights to be going off. Right. Because if the motion lights went off, that meant he was in the backyard.
Yeah.
And one night, I'll never forget, I came and I peeked out the blind and I could see him hop the fence because the lights were triggered. So I opened up the blind, lights were triggered, and I could see a guy jump that back fence and run down that back road. And I'm like, oh, great. So I was just like, this guy is definitely in our backyard, okay? And he's making this kind of a regular thing. So we created kind of a system. And by this point, the third roommate had moved out. She was...
Was it because of this?
No, it wasn't because of this. I think it was like she just needed to go back home or something. I can't remember all the details on that one, but she just chose not to stay with us anymore. And so we were kind of thinking about getting a third roommate, but Lynette and I got along really, really well. So we were like, whatever.
You guys nice enough to invite someone else into this disaster?
Well, so again, Mark, you have to understand that at the time, I wasn't scared in a way that I thought this person was going to do anything.
Okay.
I don't know. That's probably a terrible idea, but I didn't think that they would do anything. So at this point, like it's just down to the two of us.
And when roughly is this?
This is probably towards the end of the first semester.
Oh, so this really does go pretty quick.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
It's intense.
It's crazy. So we basically make this pact that we are never going to be in the house alone at night. So we both worked at restaurants. Lynette and I were both servers at like the happy little restaurants in the day. I was at Applebee's. She was at like Lone Star or whatever those restaurants were back in the day. Yep. And we just had a deal that like if we were going to not come home that night, like if she was going to go stay with friends or whatever, or if I was going to go stay with my mom or whatever, we would let each other know. Yeah. That was our plan. So you would never be left alone in the house. Yeah. So I get home from work one night and I end up going to bed and I assume that, Lynette's going to be there soon and she's going to go to bed. And so the phone rings at classic like 2 a.m.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I look at the clock and again, the phone is all the way in the kitchen.
Right.
Down
you got to walk
hall.
out of your, holy cow.
So
are you like, freaking out?
No, not really.
You think it's Lynette?
I think Lynette's in bed. So I'm like, Lynette, get the phone. Okay. Lynette, get the phone. And she's not getting the phone. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll go get the phone. So I'm walking out.
By the way, hold on. No answering machine, right?
Oh, we had an answering machine.
Okay, you did. Yeah, okay, so you had to get to it before it got to the answering machine. Okay.
So it was like the old school answering machine. So I go around, I go into the kitchen and I pick up the phone. And I'm like, hello. And I kid you not, this is like straight out of a movie. The voice just says, I know you're alone.
Oh, gosh.
And I slam that phone down. And I remember standing in the middle of the kitchen. The blind is shut. The house is pitch black. And I hit the deck. I get down on my hands and knees. And I start crawling to Lynette's room. And I'm like, Lynette. And she, I
he
look,
knew what you didn't.
And he knew what I didn't. And she was not there.
Oh, my gosh.
And I am like, what do I do now? Like, I remember panicking like, okay, I'm definitely alone. It's 2 a.m. I don't know where Lynette is. And I don't know what to do at this point. So I'm like, I have to leave. I can either stay here or I have to leave. So I'm still on the ground.
No, you got a car there?
Okay, so I have my 1979 Brat, by the way. I have a very old school's car. And I'm sitting there. I find my keys. I throw my sweats and my sweatshirt on because it's cold. It's definitely getting colder. Yeah. And I think, okay, I will never forget. And there's a picture of the front door in the living room that I put in there. Okay, so that's the front door. I stood in front of that front door for I don't know how long, a couple of minutes. I got my cat because I decided now I'm going to my mom's.
Okay.
And so
you got to get from that front door to your car, which is out
on the street,
maybe next to this guy.
Yeah,
right?
I have no idea if he's out front.
Yeah.
And it's old school. So keep in mind, there's no clicker on your car, right? You have to go and put the key in.
Yeah, you got to turn it.
And I have to lock this front door by a key. Yeah. So I have to get out the door. I have to lock the door. I have to run to the car. I have to unlock my car. I have to get my car to start. I have to do all this in like record time. And I'm having, I don't know why, but I feel like I had to take my cat with me.
I might not have needed to bring the cat.
I don't know.
By the way, you had the meanest cat in the history of the world. That thing would have killed this guy. That's like leaving a jaguar in the house.
This was not this was not Boogity.
Oh, that wasn't mean kitty.
No, I got me. This was Jeppy. This was my white cat.
Oh, this is Jeppy.
He was
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Cat.
I don't mean to. Okay.
Yeah, he was a sweetheart.
Don't mean to
cat.
throw us off
this was little
trail.
Jeppy. Anyway, so I decide, okay, I remember counting down 3, 2, 1. I'm going for this. I go, I lock the door, I go racing to my car, I get in my little Brat, and my Brat sometimes wouldn't start because, of course, it's old and it's cold outside.
Yeah.
And I start that thing and I am praying the whole time. I am like, please, Lord Jesus, let me be safe. Please just let me get to this car. Da, 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 da. I race it to my mom. I'm banging on my mom's door. She's, of course, terrified. Comes to the door early in the morning. It's me, my cat. She's like, what are you doing and why are you staying there? It's time for you to move back. We'll find you a different place. And I was like, no, this guy is not going to push me out. This was my whole master plan.
Okay.
So that night, my mom and I cook up a plan, okay? And my mom worked for the phone company. So she said, I'm going to do something, and you can't tell anybody I'm going to do this. And I'm like, okay. She goes, I'm going to get a tap, and I'm going to have your phone tapped. And I'm going to see what phone number shows up that's coming into your house all the time. We're going to figure out who this guy is. And I'm like, all right, bring it. Because I hadn't even thought about that.
Can that even happen?
I don't know.
Your mom working at the phone?
Yeah, she did. I mean, I don't know what strings she pulled or whose favor she asked for.
Right.
But she got a tap put on my phone and she told me never to tell anybody. And she knew I was calling the cops and she said, do not tell the cops that I am tapping
she's
this
working
phone.
a black ops situation.
Yeah, this is totally Shereen, by the way, back in the day.
Yeah.
So she puts on the tap. I do not tell Lynette. I am not allowed to tell anybody that I have a tap on the phone at the time, right? Yeah. So this is like quiet.
Right.
So I go back. I can't, my mom's like, it's going to take a little while for this to happen. So in the meantime, of course, the harassing continues. Okay. And it starts to get a little juicier because, for instance, one night, we went out on Thursday nights. I'm sure in college you had a night that was the night to go out, and ours was Thursday night. Like
ours was Monday through Saturday.
Okay, all right, they're fraternity boy. But like for college night, like we'd go to Old C's down in Fort Collins, and that was the thing to go do, right? And so we were excited about going out. So we get all ready, and then we leave the house. I remember we go out, and it's dead. Right? It's one of those nights that like, I don't know what happened, but maybe people were getting ready to go through testing or whatever they had to do. There was nobody out that we wanted to hang out with. So we were like, this is dumb. Like, let's not do this. Let's just go get a movie. This was back when you go to Blockbuster and rent a movie and bring it back.
Big time.
So we go to get a movie and we come back into the house and this is our pattern. You don't turn on the lights because you don't want to signal anybody if he's in our backyard that we're home, right? Like we have this whole system in place. So you come in the dark, you walk through that living room, you go to the kitchen, you go open up the little blind, a little crack to see if anybody's out there. Then you can turn on a light. Like this was our system.
Yeah.
So we come in and we're looking and we had an answering machine that would flash the number and we always had messages. I mean, I'm sorry, but we always had messages. It was like a constant running thing that we always had million calls.
You ladies were popular.
We were very popular. Okay. So anyway, we were like 0 messages. We were gone for an hour. Like, how do we not have any messages? So we're looking through the blind. And all we're thinking about right now is, how do we not have any messages? So we're distracted because we don't have any messages. That bugs us, okay? So we're looking through the blind, and then we kind of hear something. We don't know exactly what we hear, and I said, let's go down and look at the bedroom windows, which they have blinds too, and make sure that the person's not down there. The guy's not down there by the tree. So we walk down the hall and we go into the back bedrooms, our bedrooms, and we're looking out the back windows again. Yeah. And we hear a slam of our door in our house.
Oh,
and
Lord.
We are sitting there and Lynette looks at me and she is terrified and I am terrified. And she's like, what do we do? What do we do? And I said, we're going to run down this to the kitchen and we're going to scream as loud as we can. So we just take off.
Move.
Well, I don't know what to do, but I feel like we're gonna. Ella's like, "What are you doing?" But okay, I'm also 19, guys.
Okay, all right. No, it's just a lot of stuff going on here. Okay,
0 self-defense tools. You're just gonna scream.
Yeah. Yes, because my goal right now is we're gonna scare the crap out of this person.
I'm sure he's really scared. Yeah. But anyway, okay.
So we come hauling back through the kitchen, and we're down that hallway, and we are screaming bloody murder as we come through the kitchen.
Yep.
And we are turning on lights at this point now, too, as we're doing this, as we get to the kitchen. Because now we see, if you go back to that kitchen now, Ella, what I want you to see, there's a picture of the kitchen that has the other door. There's another picture of the kitchen, and it says it's got a kitchen door. It's got a door that goes to the garage. And so if you'll show that, what we had not noticed, see, there's a door right there.
Yeah, and that's the garage behind the light there?
Yes, that leads right to the garage right there.
Yeah.
What we had not noticed is that door was open.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. That was a swinging door, by the way. It was one of those like screen doors that slant, and then it had like a double door. So it was the screen door that had slammed shut. Okay.
This is a screen door into the garage?
Into the garage, yes.
That's quite a move.
Well, it was also a 1970s house.
Yeah, I get it.
Like they've updated this house.
Now, apparently.
By the way, this did not look like this. We had linoleum in that kitchen.
I get it.
The cabinets were yellow. Like it doesn't look anything like it did.
I get it.
But anyway, so the door was open. So I just went out there. I was like, "Oh hell no! I'm done with this," because this has now been months of dealing with this. Yeah. So I take off after this, and so does she. She's very brave too. She's very brave. Lynette's very brave. So we run out to the garage.
Brave might not be the word I'd use, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Anyway, we go out and so you run into the garage, and then out the garage is that door that goes to the backyard.
Sure.
And that door is open. And we go busting out there, and we don't see anything, right? Motion lights are on, but
he beat you out there.
He beat us out there.
Right.
So then we come back into the house, and we're like, this is so weird. And so we turn on all the lights. We walk by the bathroom. The bathroom door is open. The toilet seat is up like a guy had used it.
Whoa.
And there is urine in the toilet. And I have a picture of the bathroom just because I put that in there.
It was that very toilet right there.
Well, it looks just, the kitchen, the bathroom has not changed. The bathroom has not changed a day. Like those are the same mirrors.
Yeah.
That's the same shower door.
Yeah. You know that's the same can.
Yeah, it's probably the same can then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's up like a guy has used it, and there's urine in it. It's not been
nice
flushed.
of them to pull it up instead of, you know.
And so then I'm like, this is so weird. I'm like, this is so creepy. So then I'm like, I wonder if this is me back in the day. I wonder if we have any messages on that answering machine. So we go back and we hit the play button, and there were 4 messages on the machine. So what
he erased them?
What?
So the 4 messages, did he play them? Is that the deal?
He had played them.
Okay.
So he had come into our house. He had listened to the messages.
Right.
We believe he was in the can using the bathroom with the door open when we got home. Okay. So we come in. It's all black. It's all black. The whole house is black.
Yeah.
We're in the kitchen. We think we hear something because we do. He's actually in our bathroom. Okay. Which there's a picture now of the living room that has the hallway shot. This should be one of the last ones. See, so we come through when we come back from the kitchen.
So he sneaks into that hallway.
That bathroom hallway, the bathroom is at the first door on the right, and my bedroom was the first door on the left.
Yeah.
Okay. So we passed him to go to the bedrooms to check the bedrooms. Wow. And then what I think he did is he came running out of there, and he goes hauling back through the kitchen, through that garage door, that kitchen pantry door, that kitchen door to the garage, and then takes off, and we hear the door slam. Okay, because it's that swinging door that slams
into the garage.
Into the garage. So we call the cops then. This time we call the cops, and we're like, listen, and this is what's happened, okay, to this point, okay, and we list everything. And this guy the cop says, do you have anybody that could come over and spend the night with you guys tonight? Could you just put more people in the house with you guys? And we're like, okay, I guess. So we call some of our guy friends who are more than happy to come over with their shotguns, by the way, because we're in Colorado. All right. So the farm.
Couple of chicks need some protecting.
Farm guy. It's like the farm frat. I can't remember what it's called. It's farmhouse.
That'd be AGR.
Yeah. But it was called like the farmhouse or something.
Well, farmhouse too. I'm sorry. AGRs are, but then farmhouse. Yeah. An actual farmhouse. Okay. So did we at Washington State. Yeah.
Okay.
Farmhouse guys.
So our guys come over. And Mitch and Cody come over with their guns.
Mitch and Cody sound like a couple of guys with guns.
They did, and they knew how to use them too. So they crashed on our couches that night.
Sure they did.
Okay. And they're like, of course we're here to protect you young ladies. I mean, they were great. They were great guys. And so nothing happens that night. Okay. So there's no
with
return.
the guys or with this other guy?
No, nothing happened with the guys. They were neither.
I'm just checking.
But thanks for asking about my dating life at the time.
Well, I'm not an uninterested party. All right. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, so you kind of have to fast forward now because I could go on and on and on. But basically at the end of the day, all the phone calls keep happening.
Yeah.
My mom ends up, this is what's tricky. So my mom ends up calling me or getting a hold of me and says, listen, this is really bizarre. This phone number is coming from a cell phone. And cell phones were brand new. Okay. Brand new cell phones. And she goes, and it is not listed to anybody. So we can't find out who the owner of the cell phone is.
But that does make some sense because then that's how he knew when you got in and everything else.
Correct.
So then he's in your yard or whatever he's doing and making these calls.
And this person has some money because if you guys recall, a cell phone in 1992 is a lot of money.
It's early.
Like, it is something that is not even like
carrying that brick around.
Yeah, I'm sure it was like this big. It probably came with a suitcase. I have no idea, but
at that time there was those. Yeah, okay.
They were good size. I'm sure it was the one that had like the thing that came out. I don't even know. But
no, there were the flip. It's not a flip. It's a much bigger flip, but there was a flip at that time.
They were big. So she said, this is definitely a cell phone.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you can't tell anybody that I did this, okay? But of course, when the cops are coming, I'm saying, listen, it is our belief that this person is using a cell phone in our backyard. And the cop is like, why would you think that? And I'm like, it's a hunch. It's because this person knows our name. They know when we get home. Yeah. They know everything. And the cops, I'll never forget, the cop said, I guarantee you he's going through your mail. That's how he knew your names. He opens up the mailbox. He looks at your names on the things, and that's how he knows your name. If he's outside, you don't have a whole lot of, it's easy to hear things outside your windows, because it's not a big house. Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of what the cops assessed. Okay. So then I'll kind of jump ahead of here a little bit.
Yeah.
So the next big thing that had happened was it snowed. Okay. So it's early morning. I have to go to class. Lynette's there. Lynette goes, oh my gosh, there's prints in the backyard. Because we never went in the backyard. We were scared to death. After that whole occurrence happened, my brother came back and he's like, I never want you to use this back. And we never used the garage. We didn't park our cars in the garage. It was like a junk holder. Like it just held a bunch of our stuff, right? And the patio furniture that we had moved into there. And so she said, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. We've got tracks outside. So we tiptoe out to look, and they're big, like hiking boot prints. Yep. And I'm like, Lynette, this is the first piece of evidence we've ever had, actual evidence of somebody in our backyard. And it's clear a track of one person that comes up to my window and then disappears and goes back.
It's like Scooby-Doo.
It is like Scooby-Doo.
Going out there being like, I got something here.
So we don't want to mess up the tracks. So I'm like, you call the cops. I got to go to class. Get them out here. I'm thinking all the things like, oh, they're going to make a print of this. Like I'm thinking like they're going to bring out their plaster.
Yeah, of course they are.
They're going to make
like Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm thinking. I come back from class. I'm like, how'd it go? And she goes, they told me they were deer tracks.
What?
And I go, what? I go, they're not deer tracks. They're like prints from a combat boot. Or like a Doc Martin or something. And she's like, they told me they were deer. And I was like, and I said, you let that slide? I was like, and she goes, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm arguing with the cop? So she had said, I gave him the computer printout because we started keeping track of every single occurrence that had happened with the date, every single thing that had happened. And she goes, listen, we're done with this. You got to catch this guy. So the cop just told her, we want you to sleep in the interior of the house now. Okay, so now we're sleeping on the couches in its finals week and all kind. It's getting
finals week, second semester.
Second semester.
So you've gone the whole year.
The whole year. Yeah. This is towards the end of the year. This is like snow, like February-ish, something like that. But here's what I know. So this is a couple weeks later, and the cops call us and they say, okay, we have this new electronic mat that we want to put under Krysty's back window. And we're going to catch this guy. And we only have like 3 mats in the town of Fort Collins, and we want to use one of these mats. Now, I don't know if this is exactly what it was, but this is the closest thing I could find to, like, it was like a pressure mat. So it had like sensors on it. Okay. And if you stood on it, it would signal to the cops in the nearby area that this guy was in my window.
Okay, so they're finally addressing the issue.
Well, because finally, this is months down the road. But now this is how I know they are taking us very seriously at this point. However, this is what they do because it's brand new for the city of Fort Collins at the time to have this tracking mat. Yeah. They bring out 15 people to bring out this mat in the middle of the day. This guy's watching us like hawks. Yeah. This guy is I guarantee you this guy watched this whole thing transpire, right?
Yeah.
They put like stuff over it to hide it. They're like, I can't remember if it was like leaves or what they had put over there, like dead leaves or whatever was in our yard. Needless to say, never caught anything with this tracking mat. Okay, nothing ever happened. Okay. Now, I can't remember exactly the whole lead up, other than I will say, I'll wrap this up by the final story of this is, and the breaking point finally for us, was we came home one day, that door was open again. That garage door had been open into our house.
Garage door into the living room.
Into the living room. Yeah. And we could tell there was lights on or something. Something had triggered, and we knew this guy had been in the house. Yeah. We called the cops again. We're like, We are exhausted. We had a lease too. It wasn't like we were going to get our money back if we left. So keep all that stuff in mind, that it was we were paying for our own rent. Right. Like, you pay for utilities. It wasn't easy just to go, we're out. Lynette's parents lived in Wyoming. It wasn't like, where's she going to go? Yeah. So it was another reason we weren't just jetting, right? Because it was a big process to leave. So we end up, the cops come, they do some investigating, and they pull us out to the garage, which we very rarely ever went to the garage. There's a ladder, and there's an entrance into the attic of our house in that garage. And he said, did you notice that you have an attic entrance? And we said, no, we're never out here. And he said, did you also notice that you have a ladder right here? And we were like, no, it must be like the landlords or whoever owns the house. Like, we didn't bring a ladder in. And so he goes, well, we're going to go up there. And we're like, all right, knock your socks off. Because they can see that the attic thing had been kind of ajar or something. Oh, yeah. So they end up going up into the attic, and they find fresh KFC boxes and empty beer cans and kind of an area where this person had been spending a great amount of time in our attic. Unbelievable. So the guy comes down, and they got so serious with us. They're like, you ladies have to leave the house, and you have to leave today. Like, you're done. This is the creepiest thing we've ever seen. This guy is living in, like, he is coming in and making himself comfortable, probably listening to all your conversations. Who knows what else he's seeing and what he's there to watch and what he's there to listen to. But now this is beyond just a guy that might have been interested in one of you or wanted. This is just gone too far. So basically, the cops made us pack our bags that day and leave.
But that ensures. So that's the last you.
That's the end of it for us. That we never caught the guy, which was very disappointing for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that's crazy about this, because if you look at it by telling you guys, okay, you're out of here now, you ensure that this guy lives to do this to someone else,
right?
And who knows what this guy has done? So you'll never know.
I have no idea, and neither does Lynette. And to our best knowledge, the cops never reached back out to us, never filled us in on anything else again. And, I obviously we moved into a different apartment.
Right.
And we started college, and, that was my sophomore year. And so obviously I had my junior and senior year, and we were still roommates that whole time.
Right.
And, that was kind of,
Did you ever have a theory on who it was? Did you ever think, I may have seen something? There's a guy who looked at me weird. I was at a bar. Anything?
Give me a break. We thought everybody was suspicious for a while.
Right.
I mean, at the beginning, and my friend Lynette will vouch for this, she kind of dated some guys that were a little jealous. So, and then they would break up. So at first, originally, I thought, this is all about Lynette. Like, this must be some guy that has a thing for Lynette, because it started before I moved in.
Right.
So I really kind of always were like, this isn't really even about me. This is Lynette. But then it started to really impact me. And it was a lot more about me as well.
Right.
So and Lynette's like, it's not me. This guy's like, this is not any of my exes. This is not somebody I've dated. No. So but you look, I mean, we both worked at restaurants. Yeah. So we would check, we were very public, but I will say in hindsight, I was 19. I would do things very differently now.
Right.
If this was our daughter, daughter would be out of there. Yeah. It would never happen. Yeah. Also, you have to keep in mind that now we know how dangerous stalkers can be, and they've taken people's lives, and they've done really scary things.
Absolutely.
If that was the case then, we just didn't know about it because there was no social media. There was not a lot of information. The cops weren't freaking out.
Yep.
So therefore, we didn't freak out. And once the cops freaked out and told us to leave, we did. We listened to them. So we weren't like, hey, we're going to catch this guy and shoot him. Like, we didn't even have guns, you know? So anyway, that's kind of the gist of that story. But yeah.
Wow. And by one quick postscript before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
You and I move in together as friends in Grand Junction, Colorado in 1997.
Right. So about 5 years after this.
About 5 years after this. About 6 months into us living together, you were coming out of KJCT, the ABC affiliate in Grand Junction, and someone started following you.
Yeah. The whole stalking thing started all over again.
It started over again.
All over again. And because I was a news anchor, so that he knew when I was getting off. We didn't have security at the station.
Right.
And he drove a white van.
Yeah.
And you remember this. And he would follow me around, and he scared the daylights out of me at night. And I was always off at night.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, I am not doing this again. I was like, I have been through this, and I did learn. That's when I got my first gun.
Yep.
That's when I learned how to shoot. That's when I took a protection class. that's when I kind of came back to you and I was like, I went to the cops right away this time.
Right.
I was
and it
like,
was taken much more seriously. And then some channels were dealt with that he was made to understand that that was not going to be a proper way to move forward.
Yeah.
And we found out very quickly where he lived and everything else. So, but it was one of those things that kind of reminded you that, you're like that person that, it kind of that it followed you again and you definitely handled it differently. And it was not as,
well, and keep in mind too,
long.
Mark, that the year after that happened, so was a news anchor was killed in, I believe, Iowa by her stalker.
That's exactly right.
So that had not happened yet. I was right before that stalker. So the cops didn't take it as seriously as I think they did from that point on, but they gave him a warning. And I remember thinking, you need to give this guy more than a warning. Like, you need to tell him to stop chasing me around.
Yeah.
But like all their advice was drive to the police station. So at night I'd get out, he'd be there, and I would drive to the police station instead of driving home. Yeah. And I remember coming home at night to you sometimes, and I would be screaming in there with the car, racing in and locking the door. I'm like, he followed me again. And I think I lost him. I mean, I was like doing loops and running through red lights to this guy. So I didn't want him to know where I lived. Yeah. And I don't think he ever found out where we lived. But anyway, so
And by the way, just as the last little thing, I believe there's currently a meteorologist at KDVR in Denver that has a stalker that she went public talking about. So this is super serious stuff. But, again, we kind of turn it back to Halloween. We had some stories. I don't know if this is valuable to you. Hopefully people found something interesting about it. I think you're a good storyteller, so it was good.
Well, I did write this as a book. I just don't have it finished yet, but I wrote it all down as a book.
Well, I think it is extremely interesting. So, and I'm so thankful that this guy did not, I mean, obviously Els would not be here if you had not survived this guy.
Yeah.
So
this guy was not taking me out. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
No way.
Okay. Well, hey, it is good. And it was a blessing. God was looking over you.
God, so that's the biggest thing is Jesus just was looking after me.
Yeah,
so
just like we're not going to let this chicken eating fool who's in your attic take out
the two girls.
The two girls. Well, sounds good. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, and we'll see you back here late Tuesday night with our
election
special with Jessica Perez, who is the best fundraiser in the state of New Mexico. Going to talk about what that's like for candidates. And I think we're going to be headed for a runoff in the mayor's race. So we'll get into details on all that. But of course, we cannot end this episode without the way we started it, which was the slate and our music for our special Halloween edition. We'll see you back on Tuesday.